We are in the week of being sensitive in a world that's desensitized.
Sensitized.
Anyway, the idea is that unfortunately we get lost, and I mentioned this based on actually the questions, specifically the most popular question that I had on Shivasa B'Tammuz was whether one is permitted to swim on Shivasa B'Tammuz. Now, I was happy, Baruch Hashem, people asking questions, but as we pointed out, the ikr of the 3 weeks, the laws of the 3 weeks, are to download, in the language of this world, is to impress upon ourselves what are we supposed to focus on, not get lost in the, let's call it, the externalities of the law. So yes, as I pointed out and I told people, I said it's mutar halachically to go swimming. There is no isur rechitza. However, as the Del Betzina, the Bel Moshe writes, but it's inappropriate. Meaning to say, if it's for the kids, it's one thing, but for us to try to reflect and to internalize and to think about the tsaras that we're going through, that lacks a sense of sensitivity. And I think that it's a limud chus, is that we've lost that sensitivity because perhaps so much tsaras that are in this world. So I suggested, I said, instead of trying to understand the Chuban Beis Hamikdash and what the Beis Hamikdash represented, it's much easier just to focus on exactly that, all the tsaras that we know about. And I suggested that a person should just write down 4 families. I did it myself. 4 families that are going through the worst tsaras, and everyone knows at least 4 families are going through shreklich tsaras, in order to focus on the idea that if the Shekhinah was here and if the Beis Hamikdash was here, they would not be going through this. It would be solved like this. So I would like to go through different sensitivities that perhaps we've lost the art for. One example is, I mentioned, is noise level. Noise level is a concept, just a sensitivity of making noise. And I'll just give you an example. I wrote this in an article of Elyashiv Zichron Livracha, when his Rebbitzin, I think it was in 1986, I think she was Nifter. So the Levaya, of course, took place in Mea Shearim. And someone like the Rebbitzin of Elyashiv, who was known as incredible Balas Chesed, and she was the Rebbitzin of Elyashiv, you'd expect to be Hespedim and everything else. Of Elyashiv Paskin, no Hespedim. And of course, people were very surprised. And he said, very simple, it was late already at night. There's elders and kids sleeping. Why would we be able to put on loudspeakers and make Hespedim? And today, if you think so that someone would say something like, are you serious? But that's just a simple example of sensitivity. And today, the loudspeakers and music and everything else is like, we don't even think about it. It's a lost art. Another example of sensitivity, Rav Aryeh Levine was the Shevel of Rav Elyashiv. Also very fascinating. And Rav Aryeh Levine, he was in the Yichud room. This is the story that Rav Elyashiv, who did not relate many stories, but about his father, he related quite a few stories. Rav Elyashiv wasn't known as a big speaker, as a schmoozer. But he was trying to show what it means, the sensitivity for other people, and what it meant to work on yourself, to work on your midos and your sensitivity. So he says that his father-in-law related that there was an old minig, Yerushalmi minig. It's not actually an American minig, so I was very happy to see this. The idea of giving a present in the Yichud room is an old Yerushalmi minig, okay? So, they used to give presents in the Yichud room. So Rav Aryeh Levine, in those days, as we know, they were so destitute and there was nothing, that he came into the Yichud room and he told his wife, he said, the minig is to give you something, but I don't have anything to give you. But I thought, what can I give you? And I came up with the following. Rav Aryeh Levine, he said, I want to give you the following gift, that no matter what argument we will ever have from here into 120, I will give in. This is Rav Aryeh Levine. Just shows you what these people were thinking and how they were thinking, okay, what am I going to give my wife? That every argument, first of all, it shows you that he knew they were going to have arguments. It's okay to have arguments. If Rav Aryeh Levine already prophesied that he's going to have arguments, but at the same time, look how when a person works on himself, and he's accepting upon himself that every argument, then of course he had to hold up to it. But that's just examples of sensitivity, and hopefully we'll go through many more of these this week, God willing. Thank you very much.